Big news of the day is not mine, which makes me somewhat happy because I ain't got to worry about it. Today, it's all about Judgmentalist.
Yeah, as I mentioned in the intro, and as you mentioned, today we're going to talk about either nominative determinism or whatever the exact opposite of that is.
But my friend Brooke is one of the hosts there. They're a scripted podcast, right? They're not just rambling and whatever. They're talking about specific items, so they have a writer and everything. They're professionals. It's really exciting because there's space in the apartment for my wife to put her pole. So when we come back from the passport run, we should have the pole as a part of the apartment. So guys, stay tuned for those pictures.
Is it retractable? How big is this pole?
I just want to say, thank you to any new listeners that we have. Thank you to all the people who've been interviewed. I got interviews lined up.
So you go to the casino and they just hand you cash.
Oh, nice. That's a beautiful thing. I always want to just be handed cash.
Especially when my office point.
Whatever you imagine when you think of cruising might be both right and wrong, because cruising isn't one thing. I'm Bill from cruisehabit.com, and I'm a digital nomad working from ship and shore who loves sharing information to make sure people take the right cruises for them. Follow our adventures, enjoy tip videos, ship tours, and more in print and on our YouTube channel. Just visit cruisehabit.com/BSDN. We even host group cruises where you can cruise with us and get special treatment. Again, that's cruisehabit.com/BSDN or cruisehabit.com/bigsexy, whatever you'll remember.
What up, sexy world travelers? It's your boy, Big Sexy, here with a big thank you to our big, sexy world travelers. They're the folks who went over to bullwiththebutthole.com and subscribe to the podcast. I want to say a big shout out to Billy with cruisehabit.com, Lee Popsicle, Margaret White, Angel Quo, Bree, Chris Lowry, Dalen Diggs, Jesus, Joshua Tarr, Michael McKenna, Sebastian Robbins, and Smitty Scoop. If you would like to have your name read out before the show, just become a big, sexy world traveler and subscribe to the podcast. Swing on over to bullwiththebutthole.com and join the fun. Safe travels.
Good morning, all you big, sexy world travelers. It's Judgmentalist here, coming at you with another great episode of the Big Sexy Digital Nomad podcast. I'm noticing a glitch in the matrix, which we're going to talk about here soon, but today we're going to talk about nominative determinism, or whatever the exact opposite of that might be, because I am embarking on an interesting journey that I teased last week, and we will talk about now. Here's my man, Big Sexy. What's up?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever this is hitting your ear holes, I hope that it is good. Thank you all for listening in and tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you for chiming in. I'm starting to try to, be grateful and give thanks and be happy with things the way they're going. I have recently been taking a lot of stock of all the positive things that have been happening since we got to Playa. There's a lot of amazing things that have been happening in my life and changes, things I expected, things I didn't expect. And so I just want to say, thank you to any new listeners that we have. Thank you to all the people who've been interviewed. I got interviews lined up. So, we got bonus episodes coming, luckily, for weeks at a time. Depending on if we can remember to do the intros and outros for them, we'll have them set and good to go. But the big news of the day is not mine, which it makes me somewhat happy because I ain't got to worry about it. Today, it's all about Judgmentalist.
But first, I want to talk about this glitch in the matrix that I thought I noticed. It won't take long. You pre-recorded and just played the intro clip thanking those folks who have gone over to bullwiththebutthole.com or patreon.com/something that's way too long to even say, which is why we created bullwiththebutthole.com. And I swear, this is the second time that you've played this, the last episode, then this episode. And I swear to you that last week, which was actually this week, when we recorded that episode and put that video/audio in there at first, because on our end, and if you're watching on the Patreon, you'll see the video of it or the live stream that we did the other day, that when you say bull with the butthole in the video or the pre-recording, the bull sound plays. But today, I swear I didn't hear it. And now I'm so confused.
Yeah, it played. It definitely played. Yeah, I say it. I think in the intro, I say bull with the butthole twice.
Okay.
But I didn't leave space for the sound effect until the second one. Right.
So maybe I just, I got a couple things going on right now, which you teased. And actually, I teased in the last episode, and you mentioned when we promised that we'd actually talk about it, to kind of have my head in different places right now. As I mentioned in the intro, and as you've mentioned, today we're going to talk about either nominative determinism or whatever the exact opposite of that is. My news, which I can say now because it is public, is that I have applied to become an actual judge here in Maryland. In my county, there are 2 open seats for judicial placements, and through encouragement of another, this. All right, so am I supposed to rewind and start over?
No, not at all. Keep going.
Like the
breaking news here on Big Sexy Digital Nomad.
So it's a crazy intense process. I will tell you that right now. It was not something that I was expecting to do. It was something that I knew that eventually I had an interest in, and was waiting for. We have 2 different trial courts here. One for they're just, one's a little higher and handles slightly different stuff than the other. And the lower trial court, as we call it here, the district court, my interest was in having a seat there primarily, even though my qualifications probably sit me more to the upper court, the circuit court. But if I were to take a judicial appointment, if I were to be appointed, because I've already signed an affidavit saying that if they appoint me, I will take the seat. So it's not like one of those, hey, go through the process, and then if you don't want it, just say no. No, we're past that.
No, we're past
it is
that.
A full-on, all steam ahead, full cylinder commitment, which is fine.
So you might be judge mentalist. Would you be like judge mentalist?
I don't, my perception is this: when I am judgmentalist, whether it is on this podcast or on stage, I am playing a character, and that is that character. Now, that character is basically me, but it's not me.
It is also separate from you. Unlike me, when I go by Big Sexy, I'm Big Sexy everywhere I go. Right.
So I haven't really, like I said, you mentioned nominative determinism, and I'm looking at it from are they going to be pissed that I used that stage name and just DQ'd me from the jump?
Right.
So one of those things is potentially going to happen here. Who knows?
Let's see.
So the higher court, I knew that there was going to be an opening, but because of the nature of my law practice, which I own, and most of my cases actually end up in that higher court. If I am appointed either of these seats, I will relinquish, by virtue of taking it, my rights and ability to practice law. I have to just be a judge if I become a judge. Now, I won't have to stop doing other stuff. I should. The only thing that might be an impediment to my involvement in this podcast will be scheduling. But you're a night owl, and I'd be looking to do it in the evenings anyway, so it's probably not going to be an issue.
Right.
If it is, we will vet and bring in a fantastic replacement for me, and I will make whatever cameo appearances I can. Rest assured, the Big Sexy Digital Nomad podcast is going nowhere. I mean, it's going everywhere because that's the nature of the podcast.
That's the nature of the podcast.
Right. But it's going absolutely anywhere and everywhere. It's not stopping. It will not stop whether I am appointed or not.
I look forward to the episode when we get to announce that you have been appointed, and I get to say, and then what we'll do is I'll call it out now. We'll see if we remember to do it. Is I will do the introduction where you normally do it.
Yeah.
And I will say, presenting Your Honor, Mr. The Honorable Jobeth Bowers, aka Judgmentalist.
There we go. Let's see if that happens. So my wife is an attorney, which I'm sure that I have mentioned on here. She works here at the firm. She's intimately involved in all of this, and
with you.
Yeah.
And with you. Yeah.
So the game plan, if I'm appointed, is most likely she ends up taking over this firm, which would create a conflict of interest, this firm's ability to have cases come before me. Right. So part of if I were to rank them, my first choice, and this is a 1 and 1A thing. So it's not like I'm hell-bent on wanting the lower court, the district court seat, but it inherently creates a lower probability of conflicts of interest between that and the firm that I'll be leaving. Now, if a scenario arises where, and we've discussed this, the A plan is that she takes over the firm. However, if it's learned that I get this appointment and folks in other firms start coming out of the woodwork and offering money to buy the practice, there's a number. We haven't figured out what that number is, but
there is a number.
It's got a number. So if
did your wife take your last name? Is she Mrs. Bowers? So you don't have to change the name of the law firm?
It would be foolish to change the name of the law firm because it is the known entity. She has not gone through the process of changing her name legally, mainly because there has been very, very few times since our marriage, like 7+ years ago, that we've not had flights booked. There hasn't been a window, and this isn't the only reason, but it's a lot of it has been laziness, the unimportantness of the process, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm pretty sure I've talked about it here. That's the reason why Big Sexy isn't on my passport or my driver's license yet, because we haven't stopped traveling long enough for that process to continue.
And it's a process. So if I think that she's already, so we've got a cruise coming up in 2 weeks, and I think when we return from that cruise, she's going to start the process, because she'll also, when we return from that cruise, the window for her to renew her passport, which won't matter because if it's a name change, she'll get a new reapply or whatever she has to do for the name change. But there are no flights currently booked for her. And I mean, quite frankly, there's a trip planned, but no flights booked for me as of right now, because I have not sorted out exactly which dates I'm flying into and out of Vegas for the 2025 Performing Hypnosis Summit. But this is a process, and this is why it's thrown me for a loop. This is why we're off a day in recording. This is why several other things are kind of in the weeds. This is a process that before I applied, from talking to multiple people, I thought was going to be fairly long and drawn out. I thought this was going to be 6-month, 9-month process, et cetera, et cetera. And it looks like this is going to be maybe a 9-week process.
From months to weeks.
So a little bit of a change of pace, not a big deal. I will say that of the other attorneys who have applied for these seats, and there's 2 open seats, and some people have applied for both, some have applied for one and not the other, and vice versa. The vast majority of them don't have the freedom and flexibility that I have in running my own firm. A lot of them, and this is not exclusive, but a lot of them work for either the state's attorney's office or the public defender's office, some in other counties. This is places where presumably they have full dockets all day, all morning, all afternoon. You know, they're working. It's not to say that I'm not working all day. I am, but my name's on the door.
Right.
If I need to take what is a quasi business personal phone call, I can. If I need to schedule a judicial interview in the middle of the day, I can. And this is it's funny because even with the flexibility of my schedule, as fast as this has all come on, it's been a little bit overwhelming, as you can imagine, because there are 16 or more, there are 16 different bar associations that have been forwarded the application. And that was a whole lot of stuff to go. And they're all, you know, most of them, they haven't all reached out yet, but many of them have started to reach out to schedule interviews so that they could say, this guy is an idiot, or this guy is great. We'd love it if you appointed him, or whatever they do.
Right.
And it's a whole lot because it's all scheduling stuff. And I've got one of these that is scheduled, fingers crossed, on the Wi-Fi gods on Carnival Cruise Lines next week.
Right.
No, 2 weeks while I'm on the ship.
How many sea days do you have on that cruise?
Let me look. I was on the check-in screen to the cruise. Yes, it's that close, and realized that I don't have my passport or the other passports of people with me here at the office. Let's see. Cruise in 16 days. Itinerary, view full calendar.
Do you have a picture of your passport?
Somewhere.
I recommend on your phone, take a picture of your passport and then throw it in your gallery in its own folder, saying like important photos or whatever. So that you know where it is quick and easy. So you have access to the number at least.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm sure that I have that somewhere, but the other people is what I really don't have.
Got you. Right.
And the way that we've set up this cruise, for which I will go through the itinerary here momentarily, because why not go through the itinerary? Because it's a travel podcast. It actually then becomes what was momentarily bad podcasting, turns into quite on brand podcasting. Right. The way that so when we do these, I always have the best offer. So I book a cabin.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sister-in-law and my wife both usually tend to have offers, because my wife gambles some and enough to get offers. And then so does my sister-in-law, and Nick, her boyfriend, usually just kind of hangs around with us, and he doesn't gamble much.
Right.
So we look at, and we've done this twice now, and we look at who's got the best offer between the two of them. This time, and the last time, it was my wife for whatever reason. And I don't know whether that is because of her affiliation with me or what the deal is. Doesn't matter to me why. But her offer was slightly better than her sister's offer. So I booked my cabin with Nick in that cabin on the manifest or whatever. And then whoever's got the best offer, they book and they're together. If if her sister Spencer were to have the better offer, it would just be my wife and I, and then Spencer and Nick in the other cabin. But that's not how this worked out. So I need his passport to check my whole crew in. And I don't know if on this thing I have access to both reservations or not to check everybody in. But I mean, it's not the biggest deal because it's an Echo offer, which is like the premium premier thing that Carnival does. So I get all the VIP stuff going through and everything anyway. So we leave on December 1st from Baltimore. So that is, I think we leave at like 4:30 in the afternoon.
Nice.
And then we are on our way. Day 2 is a fun day at sea. Day 3, which is the day of this interview, is a fun day at sea. So I don't know whether that's good or bad. And I probably will try to talk to somebody, involved with, running the ship or whatever, to be like, look, I got this thing. I'm sure you don't get asked this all the time, but is there a place where I can actually guarantee that I get solid Wi-Fi and access to Microsoft Teams? And when I say that, it's because maybe the best Wi-Fi is, a ship computer somewhere that maybe I'd have access to, and not my laptop.
Right.
Day 4, we were in Nassau, the Bahamas. Princess Key on day 5, which is their private island. Freeport in the Bahamas on day 6, and then day 7 we're on our way back. It's a sea day, and then of course, as many of these cruises, will end up rolling into Baltimore around or before the sun comes up.
Yeah, super early, because they hightail it when they're going home.
Oh yeah.
They're like, all right, we're going back. Bye, y'all. We're going top speed.
Yeah,
you ready? It might be a little choppy. Have you checked the weather report? Is it going to be decent when you're out there?
I have not checked the weather report. Honestly, I don't even, unless I'm looking specifically for the area around the Bahamas, I don't even know what I'd be looking for. Like,
well, you just want to
be like in the middle of nowhere.
Right. You just want to check, like, weather patterns, if there's going to be kind of storms happening around that area.
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side, because storm fronts mean choppy waters, means
right.
Extra dopamine, not dopamine. What's the drug you use for motion sickness?
Dramamine.
No, not dopamine. That's something different.
It is in fact different. It's no horse water. It's no horse water or anything.
Right.
So I am hopeful and cautiously optimistic about this because of what I heard from the latest ICS episode.
What'd you hear? I've listened to it.
What I heard was Matthew Donnelly, the mind noodler, doing the podcast from the ship on the ship's Wi-Fi.
Yes, he did. He was able to do it on board. Also, he was also on board with Penn for Penn Sunday School as well.
Okay, yeah, I'm a little off the Penn Sunday School thing. It's just one more on the mix.
I got time.
Yeah,
and it's I have my top 3 podcasts that I listen to. That whenever I'm walking around, and I realize there's a lot of time in the day I can get through 3, and then if I have time, then I catch up on the other 2 that I also enjoy.
My top 3 were ICS, 2 Characters and a Clown, and our friends over there. Where did it go? There it is.
Buddy, nice podcast.
Yeah, that one. And then those guys are on a little bit of a hiatus for whatever reason. So obviously they're out of the mix because I was pretty much up to date on all of theirs. And then I stumbled into this bar trivia podcast that I like trivia, so I'm kind of sucked in on that. So that's the third one for me, and that's about all I have time for.
Right. Yeah. For me, it's ICS, then Penn Sunday School, and then my friend Brooke, and has a friend called Even the Rich over on Wondery, and I listen to them, and it's a celebrity.
Want to find it.
Yeah, it's a celebrity gossip podcast. It's called Even the Rich. If you go to wondery.com/even the rich, you can check it out. But my friend Brooke is one of the hosts there. They're a scripted podcast, right? They're not just rambling and whatever. They're talking about specific items. So they have a writer.
You mean everything?
They're professionals. I mean, they're like going to Webby Awards, and I mean, they're backed by Wondery. So it's like they're big time. I'm so proud of my friend Brooke. She's amazing. Brooke, who I'm hoping that one day have as a guest on the podcast, I met Brooke because she was doing a film with my friend Dana. Shout out to Dana Campbell. And, I teach acting, and Brooke was looking to get some acting tips and improv tips or whatever. And so she was going to be one of my students, one of my first acting students. But the timing never worked out. But we just became friends after talking and getting to know one another. Then she moved to LA and, started doing all the work and stuff like this. And then she got into this podcast, and they're doing really, really well. Yeah.
It's awesome. Like real podcasts.
Yeah. So I keep talking to her about having her as a guest. Yeah. Yeah. My goal is to have her on as a guest so she can, talk about, I was on this podcast. Come listen to me talk about whatever, get her story about her travels and whatnot. And I think matter of fact, I'm going to reach out to Brooke today, put that on my to-do list and get her to done.
Cool. I'll plug this podcast that I've been listening to completely unsolicited, but I would love to connect with these folks and maybe do like a crossover episode. I'm going to drop a banner in here for anybody who is interested in trivia. And I know that if you're an ICS crossover, you're familiar with their trivia, the Jock versus Nerd and Scooperdies and everything at the end. Different format, of course. But if you're a trivia nerd, pubtriviaexperience.com. It's actually, I think it's a podcast network. I'm listening to one podcast specifically, but they've kind of created over time a small network of like brother and sister shows that I have not listened to yet, but they do different, but it's all basically trivia type stuff, I think. And it's, there's nothing really like over the top about it. It's just good, clean trivia fun. So if you're into that sort of thing, that's a good unsolicited. They have no idea that we exist, I'm sure. So they will have not asked us to plug this, but we should reach out to them and say, hey, let's cross over. You come in and put us head to head to trivia us, and then we'll put it on here, which will cross promote them, and then they can put it on their network and cross promote us. I don't know. That's just the stuff that I'm thinking.
I like it. Then maybe we'll actually finally have use for this. That's our wrong answers only music, or our trivia music that we got to use a few times on this podcast, but not as much as we would have hoped.
Look, if we line this up and they want to do a game with us, because the cool thing about it is that they've got like what appears from my perspective, I've been listening for a couple months now, to be a relatively routine but rotating cast of characters. Like the host is always the same, or usually always the same. Sometimes they'll have somebody that runs the that brings a game to them, because it's not always the same format. Like they have a general format that they usually use, but every so often somebody will bring something to be like, hey, we want to do this on it. So then that person bringing it ends up hosting that episode. The normal host is a contestant, and so there are familiar names, but there are not always the same names and voices every week.
Right.
So it would be, I think that it feels like it would fit with their format for their host to do a show with us as, as special guests and co-podcast people, or whatever the terminology is. If we do that and you want to commit to wrong answers only throughout the game, I won't be mad. I like to win.
Right. That would be interesting. That'd be a very.
But I do think
we definitely should reach out and hit them up.
Yeah, I do think though that when we go through, because it's like the way that the bulk of their format is that you like they have like a head-to-head format. So there's 2 different rounds where they rapid fire questions back and forth between the 2 contestants. And you either get the point for getting it right, but there's no negative for, it's not like, oh, if I get this wrong, I'm going to lose points. So we can certainly commit to the bit of, if we don't know the answer, come up with the most ridiculous shit that we can. That I'm all
100%.
about that. So we kind of blend wrong answers only with an actual trivia contest.
Yeah, I love that. That'll be a good idea. I hope that works out. We'll reach out. Now that I have their email address or their website, I'll also see if there's a contact form on there and reach out and see if we can set something up.
Sweet. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So things in Playa. Well, we're getting to the point where we got to do our passport run. I think I talked about it last episode.
Yes.
I thought we were going next week. I'm not sure anymore. Prices, flight prices have changed. What we're looking at, we're still looking at doing the same thing of flying from Cancun to Tijuana and then walking across the border into San Diego through the cross-border express, and then renting a car in San Diego and then driving to Riverside and hanging out with moms, picking up stuff, whatever, and then doing the whole thing in reverse. We're just looking at the prices now, trying to find out what fits within our budget. We just paid rent today because our rent is due on the 15th of the month. So we got that covered. So we're at least good for another month in our apartment, which I get to brag about almost daily. And it's really getting exciting because there's space in the apartment for my wife to put her pole. So when we come back from the passport run, we should have the pole as a part of the apartment. So guys, stay tuned for those pictures.
Is it retractable? How big is this pole?
Yeah, it's retractable. It's two pieces. You put it together, and then it has pressure plates. Right. So it links up together. So it's not quite retractable, but you piece it together for the size that you need. And then there's it's pressurized. So you twist it until it locks in place. And then it's stable. It's very stable.
I got you. So packaging wise, you've dismantled the whole thing. How big is it?
It's still about, I don't know, maybe about 4 feet.
Okay.
Tall, about 40 pounds. So it travels as a sports item.
Gotcha.
So coming back, we have to put it on as a special sports item. We got to pay that extra baggage fee. And then we're going to go with just personal items. So I'm going to put a change of clothes, my laptop and recording equipment in my backpack. Right. And then we'll travel with just the backpack and her purse. And then when we come back, we'll come back with a check bag, which I have a bunch of stuff. I'm going to restock up on banana pudding and Kool-Aid. Right. Because those are the two main things I can't get out here that I want out here. My wife's probably going to stack up on a Rotel.
Yeah.
Diced tomato mix for her taco soup that she loves to make. So yeah, we're going to be coming back with a suitcase of extra clothes and food. Yeah, I gotta get some more clothing out here, clothing options. I only have really, 5 pairs of shorts, 3 pairs of pants, and I need more. I'm not wearing a whole lot of pants out here because it's warm. So I need some more, comfortable casual shorts. I got to get in my beach attire. I got to buy me some purple linen shirts. So my wardrobe is about to change slightly, just a bit, to get a little bit more cooler. Because while t-shirts are cool, they're also kind of heavy, especially cotton blend. So I sweat them out in this Mexican heat.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're also looking at getting a bike. So I'm excited about that. I finally was able to download the BC Playa app, which is like a bike share app or whatever. And my friend Cecilia, who I mentioned damn near every podcast now, shout out to Cecilia, gave us a great hack for the BC Playa, which is they get a discount if you have a MasterCard. So we're going to go to a store and buy a prepaid MasterCard because BC Playa isn't up on the prepaid game yet, I don't think. And that way they can't charge you extra, which has been a lot of complaints.
Mm.
Yeah, so to avoid that, and occasionally if you get a negative balance, you just call them, explain to them what happened. You said the key thing you make sure to do is take a picture of you ending the ride, take a screenshot of that. So if there's ever a question, you have that as backup.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to, once I get a bike, it's going to really open up our exploration of the city. I'll be able to, because, you know, I have a 12 to 15 minute walk radius, which only gets me so far. I can bump that up to 20 if I really need to be somewhere. And otherwise, I'm taking a taxi. And we already had the discussion on how the taxi cartels are fucking insane out here.
Yeah, I thought of that, the taxi cartel, when Matt was talking on that recent ICS episode about trying to take a taxi somewhere and the taxi driver being like $90. And he was like, well, the last time I did this, it was 60. And the guy was like, okay, 60.
Right. Right. Well, I told you that the taxi cabs out here don't have fare boxes. Did I tell you that?
So they're just telling you what they want to tell you.
They're telling you what the price is, and there's no monitor or meter or list of these are the prices. That shit doesn't exist. They tell you what it is, and you pay them, or you tell them what you're willing to pay, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hate that shit, but you know, whatever. We're making it work. We're making playa work out. It's working out pretty good for us. I'm really getting involved in Toastmasters. Oh. When this episode drops tomorrow, I will be doing my first speech contest for Toastmasters. This week I got to start working on what the fuck I'm going to talk about at my speech for this contest. The rule book is 35 fucking pages long, and I don't want to read it all, but I need to read it so I know what I'm looking at. There's some videos of past winners. So I watched those videos to see kind of what they talked about and what the judges liked and looked for. But the contest is next Thursday. So a week from yesterday as of this recording.
And tomorrow, if you're listening to it.
Tomorrow, if you're listening to this, yes. And then, of course, it'll be recorded and it'll become a bonus episode for the podcast eventually as well. And it'll definitely go up on the Patreon before it ends up out to the public. So stay tuned for that. My topic is the topic is going to be the power of being silly, and it's going to be based on the work that I'm doing for my improv workshops, right? That I do called the power of being silly, you know, for parenteens and teachers and shit like that. So I'm going to talk about how the freedom that being silly gives you, the whole idea of not giving a fuck, right? Without saying not giving a fuck, because they kind of shy away from vulgarity. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I got to write that shit this week and rehearse it. So stay tuned, listeners, for that. That's coming up as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I'm really happy. We got a lot of interviews. I've been booking interviews left and right as I'm entering these networking spaces. I want to give a big shout out to I'm going to get the name of it's Playa Changemakers. Let me see the name. I get the name of the WhatsApp group that I'm a part of, because they've been really amazing and wonderful. I went to the second meeting yesterday. Yeah, Playa Changemakers. So shout out to Mel, who runs that networking group. We met yesterday at Curore 38. Cuore. Curore. I don't know what it means. I don't look it up. But we met there and we sat down. There was another small meeting. I think there may have been 6 of us total, but really great networking. So met, shout out to Crystal and Morgan and Chantel and Majida, who were also there and sharing their what they're looking for in terms of their businesses and what they have to offer other people to help them with their businesses. So it's been kind of focused on that. And of course, this is my main gig here. Shout out to all my listeners. You are my main thing. You're my main thing, people. My ask is I need guests. I need people to come on the podcast and talk about their travel. So that my ask is easy. My ask is of time. And then my offer, of course, is that I teach, I mentor against stage fright, and I have the free time to do some busy work. If people need busy work, I can do stuff like that as well. So I can offer that in exchange of time as well. That just sparked a thought in my head. Now I can't remember what I just thought right now about the meeting folks and the people that I met and talking to them and Chantel and the asks and offers. Oh, I know what it sparked was, we talked about last week near the end about me being a professional cuddler.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to watch the video I sent?
I did not. I received it, but I have not had a chance to watch it yet.
Right. It was just a video showcasing professional cuddling and news reports about that. So I got to explain that process yesterday at the meeting as well. Because, in your introduction, you talk about the things you're working on. So, of course, for me, it's number 1, podcast, number 2, entertainment, improv, and number 3, professional cuddler. And that, of course, generates a what? What is that?
What?
I've heard of that. Yeah. So that I had a lot of fun discussing being a professional cuddler that I'm 100% going to start doing in the new year.
Excellent. I need to reach out to Billy and our friends over at
cruisehabit.com, bitches.
See if he knows of a good place to check the weather forecasts upcoming, because I found a website that if I become a premium member, they'll show me the weather forecast now, which it's not about being cheap. It's about me not trusting them this far out. So why would I pay for something that's certainly going to change? Because they'll give free on the 24th.
I use windy.com.
Windy?
Windy, or the Windy app.
Oh, okay. Because I also found another site that's like super creepy that allows me to type in the name of a ship and it'll tell me exactly where I can track that ship.
Oh, yeah.
It's also will show me every other ship that's in the water.
Yeah, it's I'm familiar with that app.
Cruise
Mapper. Oh no, I have one called Cruise Mapper that does the same thing. Since they're all connected via satellite, there's these apps that you can check out via satellite where they are and what they're doing. Yeah. So I don't think there's any other big news or any other information that's happened. We had another open mic night on Wednesday that went very well. Shout out to all of our open mic friends. My co-host Graham is currently traveling. He's in Guatemala visiting and checking out the place and on vacation and doing his passport run there as well. The wife and I did talk about, since we're already setting up to go to the U.S. this one time, the next time we have to do a passport run, it might be just to travel Latin America and see other countries that we want to kind of go visit and then come back to Mexico and do another 6 months here in Playa del Carmen.
Yeah.
But we definitely want to tour and see some of the places. We also committed to, on Fridays, going different places and making those kind of travel arrangements as well. Checking out Tulum and Merida and Cozumel and things of that nature. We're hoping to get that done. We might go somewhere today. I don't know. We said it's the 15th, so paying rent and bills and stuff like that kind of eats up the travel funds, as it were.
Yeah.
So exciting.
What was this ship? Was it the Valiant Lady that you took transatlantic?
Or
Scarlet?
No, I think I was on. I think it was Valiant Lady. Yes.
Yeah. Valiant Lady is currently in Key West, ported.
Oh, nice.
You didn't ask, but I figured I'd offer that.
Yeah, we did the Scarlet Lady. The very first cruise we took was the Scarlet Lady.
Okay.
Then we took the Valiant Lady across the transatlantic, and then they opened up the Resilient Lady, and I think the Brilliant Lady is the newest vessel as well.
So the Scarlet Lady is currently moored, whatever that means. Does that mean it's docked?
Docked, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It looks like it's in Sicily right now.
Yeah, it's still in the European run.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, are there a lot of ships in the water. Because this thing is showing me cargo ships, tanker ships, cruise ships, military ships. Why would they be showing military ships? Isn't that like a security risk? Fishing
No.
boats, pleasure, like private boats.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that this map isn't showing somebody's little like fishing boat, like a bass boat, but like
No, right. But if it's big enough to have a satellite link, it'll show up
because
on
it's all
that.
satellite driven. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, let's find out where Matt Donnelly is. It's the Princess, Sun Princess, right?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so.
Let's see if we can find that ship.
Well, while Judge Mentalist is looking up for where Matt Donnelly is, I'll take this time to thank our sponsor, cruisehabit.com. Go to cruisehabit.com/bigsexydigitalnomad. That's not accurate. Go to cruisehabit.com/BSDN or cruisehabit.com/bigsexy for all your cruising needs. Our friends Billy and Larissa talk about all that madness and all that great stuff.
Oh
Once
man,
again,
I can see the
cruisehabit.com.
webcam. So you know the webcam or you know how when you're on the ship, right? And there's that channel that you can tune to that'll show you like the front of the ship and what's out in front of it.
Yes.
You can see that from this website.
Oh, what? What's the name of the website?
It is cruisingearth.com.
All right. Not a plug, but check it out. That sounds
It's there.
interesting.
But yeah, the Sun Princess is basically south of the southern tip of Florida. Right now, I'm looking at it just looks like water, out in front of it.
Right.
This is the forward camera. Oh, there's 25 different.
You said Cruising Earth or Cruising World?
Cruising Earth.
That's awesome. I love that kind of shit. Do you ever look at the cameras on a flight?
No, I've never done that.
Yeah, some of them, especially longer flights, have exterior cameras where it'll show you the ground. There's one facing the ground, you see what they're flying over, right? And then there's one looking out over the wings, whatever, one on the front of the plane, one on the back of the plane. So you can kind of view where in the world. And I guess that's kind of interesting to watch. Some people like that peacefulness. Also, I figure it's for people who don't have a window seat.
Yeah.
You can still get a chance to see outside of the plane. Or especially people in the center aisle.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to flying again and dealing with airports, but I'll be happy that we're not taking any extra luggage, at least not taking there, but we'll be getting luggage on the way back.
Yeah, I'm gonna with this cruise in 2 weeks, I'm gonna go so bare bones because allegedly we have laundry service as well included in my whatever
package in the cabin.
Yeah, I mean they're paying me to go on this cruise, which I think I've mentioned before, but I've learned that because my sister-in-law who's going with us did a cruise. Carnival did a cruise on this same ship in September, I believe, that went to Iceland. Chris and Lisa from Cruise Planners were also on that ship and on that one. It was like 12 days or 2 weeks or something like that. And my sister-in-law had an offer that included some free play, like $200 or $400 or something like that. I don't remember exactly what she said. And she's like, the system on the ship is not set up on that particular ship, and probably a handful of other ones, to be able to load the free play on the card. So you go to the casino and they just hand you cash.
Oh, nice. That's a beautiful thing. I always want to just be handed cash.
Especially when my offer is $2,500.
Right.
Like they
That's
are
amazing.
legit paying me to go on this cruise.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I always wish that I had that kind of, degenerate behavior to get those kind of offers.
I'm actually surprised that my sister-in-law didn't have a better offer because, and I'm sure I told this story a long time ago because this cruise was like more like a year and a half ago. I want to say it was either February or March of 2023. This was the first time that we did Carnival out of Baltimore, and this was on the Legend, and they've swapped out to renovate the Legend. And I think the Legend's back in the water, but they when the Legend left, they brought the Pride and replaced it so they could, whatever, glow up the Legend. I thought that we both had booked offers that gave us free drinks throughout the ship for you and the guest. And apparently the offers at that time were just free drinks in the casino for you, not the guest. So I
talk about that.
And we're talking about a year and a half ago, so my recollection may be a little off of the particulars here, but I believe that I had that offer, as did my wife, who booked the offer with the other cabin. So, or maybe not. And I might have been the only one with the free drinks in the casino. And so I was like, the way that it works on Carnival is if you don't have it going into it, if you accrue a certain number of points in the casino, and that certain number of points varies. It's the longer the cruise, the bigger the number is. And I want to say that the number for our length of cruise, 7 days, was like 1,500 points.
Okay.
And you get a point for every $5 that you run through the system.
Right.
So basically,
very casino-esque reward membership.
Yeah. And as you're sitting there and potentially doing the math and being like, holy shit, why would you pay $7,500 to get free drinks? You're not going to spend that much money on alcohol. True. But it's not putting $7,500 into the machine.
You're just running. It just depends on what you're running.
That money recirculates so much. So let's say that you're on a slot machine, right? Or let's say that you're playing blackjack. All right. And I don't know that the table games calculate exactly the same ways, but let's say that you are playing electronic blackjack, so they can register all of your bets the same way that a slot machine would.
Right.
You make a $10 bet. That's 2 points. And you win that bet. Blackjack just plays 1-to-1. So now you're up $10 and 2 points. You take the casino's $10 that you just won and play it again.
It's 2 more points.
Now you've got 4 points and you've spent $0.
Right.
So extrapolate that over a lot of time. Slot machines are a whole lot of put in money, lose, put in money, win some, put in money, win more than you put in. It's a whole lot of like ebb and flow and up and down. And one of the keys, and people ask me about this all the time because of the fact that I somehow can still afford to gamble. I don't lose a lot. I don't always win, and I don't always win a lot, but I keep it pretty even keel. And I've got, over years and years of doing this, methods that are really designed to find the right types of machines, which we should talk about if we think that there might be interest in at least some of the basics of this for anybody who, because I think it's very relevant because I traveled a whole lot and still continue to, spending minimum money on hotels if there was a casino and a brand that I had juice with in the area. And I think that might be some good content for folks because there's a wide spectrum of these games of chance.
We definitely should have an episode called Casino Juice and talk about. And it
probably shouldn't be the same episode where I announced that I've applied to be a judge.
No, definitely not. We'll make an episode somewhere in there. In the lull between you applying and them appointing you, because they're going to appoint you. I'm just putting that in the universe right now. They're going to
put it in the universe.
Yeah, then we'll do that. Or what we'll do, we'll drop it as a bank episode, and then I get to hold that over your head.
Look, listen, it is what it is, and I am who I am, and I know what I know. So it's not like it's something that I'm hiding. Otherwise, I wouldn't be
right.
mentioning it. And I'd be like, "Oh, Big Sexy, delete everything. We've got to end the podcast now." No, I mean, if they want to disqualify me and knock me out, which they're not going to do. It's not like I'm sitting here doing illegal stuff.
Right.
But what I will say in this brief tidbit of conversation about it is that there's a spectrum of machines and a wide range of volatility. The key word is volatility. There are some machines that you could sit there and play on the same $50 for hours. You will probably never go higher than $100. You'll probably never lose. Well, I don't want to say you'll never lose the whole thing, but you can draw it out for a long, long time on lower volatility machines, but you're never going to win a ton. And then there are other machines on the complete opposite end of the spectrum where you cannot expect, you're playing them for these bonus games. You're playing them for these, oftentimes jackpot triggering big games, but you might soak a ton of money in there. I mean, when I talked about, I don't know, what was it, 2 years ago or so, when Brogan and Wayne are in Vegas and Sydney and I went out there and we hung out. This was the trip where we were staying at the Venetian.
This was
and then
last year.
We went to the airport, and then the wind was such that she was like, "Hey, you want to stay for 2 extra days?" And I'm like, "Don't threaten me with a good time." Right. At the time that I was in the airport, and feel free to fact check me and my memory, I want to say I was down $7,000 ready to go home. Right. And when we got those 2 extra days, I ended up up like $2,000 or something for the cumulative of the trip. And it's all about hitting the right machines at the right time, because sometimes those machines that are higher volatility that you have to soak a bunch of money into or sink a bunch of money into before they hit. Number one, it's all random number generator. So there's nothing that, I don't want to say nothing, because there are certainly things with certain types of machines for the other episode that you could say, hey, this one's getting ripe, that it's an actual real thing on some, but certainly not all machines. But outside of the random number generator, Johnny, who sat there for 2 hours before I sat down at that machine, may have sunk all the money into it that it needs for me to go put a little bit more in, and then boom, pop, let's go. So all of that ends up being a factor. One of the first things I do when I go into a casino, if I intend to gamble, or if there's a chance that I might, because I don't always, that's the other secret. I'm not just going to play. It's a vibe sometimes. And I will scout the room and identify machines that are worth playing. And if there aren't any, I don't play. Not yet. So on a cruise, there I am for a week looking at all the same machines, figuring out what's where. Hey, that one's probably, literally some of these machines that they have on some of these ships, the casino isn't huge. The ability to be like, hey, that machine is going to be right by Thursday.
Right.
And I just remember to come back on Thursday or Wednesday late and see where, and anytime I walk by, I'll just check the status of that machine. We'll walk through the casino, even though we don't intend on playing, and I'll zigzag through it to just check in on the machines that I need to check in on.
Make those mental notes.
Yeah. So, and then sometimes the plans get hijacked because the machine is riper than you expected it to be, and the seat's open. So sorry guys, I got to sit down here.
Right.
Got to do this. So yeah,
go on with what you're doing and come back to me. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah. I hope that, when you get on I'm going to put these things in the universe. 1, you're going to get appointed as a judge. 2, you're going to go on this cruise and you're going to win a bunch of money, like a insane amount. And your is it sister-in-law?
Yes.
Your sister-in-law's boyfriend's going to lose. Your wife's going to break even. And your sister-in-law is going to play a little bit here and there. But she may get up a little bit, but not like you are. You're going to explode.
You just described almost every cruise I've ever been on.
Yep. And that's going to happen. You're going to come back. We're going to talk all about it. And you're going to have some kind of funny anecdotes. You're going to meet some really cool people. Hopefully you'll have your microphone and your pod track with you, and you'll get a chance to record maybe an interview, perhaps.
I'll have it there just in case.
Just in case, But yeah, so that's I think we've hit a good ending spot. So we got the stuff going. Oh, we got to mention the magical cruise that's coming, right? So definitely go to gowithlisa.com/group/Elkton Magic. Go on that magic cruise. There you go.
I am already booked for this cruise. I in no way anticipate. Did that just keep going, or what was the deal there?
I still haven't edited it yet.
It's longer audio. That's what it is.
Yeah,
took a while to kick in, and then just ran as much as it wanted to. I fully intend to be on that cruise no matter what happens with this appointment. It is my kids' spring break. They are lined up to come with us. That is the plan, and I think that. My thought is that it's likely unreasonable to not be able to say, if you are appointed for something, hey, by the way, I have this vacation that was already pre-planned. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. So we are planning our cruise. We have our cruise set for the month before that, March 23rd through I think April 1st. Maybe, or April 2nd, somewhere in there, to the Bahamas. It's for Nilla's 50th birthday. By this time, hopefully next week, I'll have a flyer put together so I can throw it up on here. But you can also go to, if you go to gowithlisa.com, you can book the cruise through there as well if you want to join us on that cruise. So we appreciate that as well. You want to subscribe to the podcast, swing on over to bullwiththebutthole.com. Become a member of the Patreon. If you subscribe to the Patreon, as low as $1 a month, I will change the recording and add your name to that recording. That is a list of all of our paid subscribers. So thank you, each one of you guys who paid for that. You can join the community for free. And then I think like once a month, I'll mention the free members of that as well. So we thank you all for doing so. We appreciate that. Some new members in there as well. So next week, I'm trying to do it on the last recording day of the month. I think that's next week or the week after next, whatever, who cares?
I have pictures, by the way, I have pictures of the freaking passports that I need in my phone.
Perfect.
I mean, and I'm talking about for my sister-in-law and her boyfriend, because she texted to them previously, and I went back into the archives of what photos we had texted back and forth, and boom, they're in here.
There you go. So you get all that settled and done. Work will be continuing. So be sure to check out all those things. Shoot us an email over at bigsexynomad@gmail.com with any questions, comments, thoughts, or whatever ideas. We'd love to hear from all of you. And we appreciate each and every one of you. So stay safe, y'all. Take care. And in the meantime, safe travels.
Safe travels.